Sup guys, okay, so I came across a really interesting game this past week. It is called Shaddai, Ascension of the Metatron, which came out for PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 in 2011. Shaddai roughly translates to God Almighty in Hebrew, and then Ascension of the Metatron, which is another name for Enoch, which I'll get to in a moment. I can't say I've ever played a game that featured heavy religious content, but in a creative, abstract kind of way. One of the most compelling factors of this game is it was created by people of various faiths. Alright, so I have to give it up to them. They had the balls to create something surrounding a hypersensitive topic. Religion. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so Shaddai is a story of Enoch, a human scribe in heaven. God tasks him with returning the Grigori, or the fallen angels, to heaven, opposed to, the alternative, creating a giant flood and wiping out all humanity. The fallen angels apparently fell so in love with humans that they wanted to join them in making babies, aka Nephilim. Now get this, you would think that human and angel babies would be so adorable. Like, why would God want to flood these guys out? Because they're friggin' dildos with tiny appendages. Look at them. Oh, and to add insult to injury, they eat each other and turn to fire Nephilim and burn down the earth. But before they start eating each other, they're pretty damn cute. So anyways, their Grigori created a tower under a false sky to hide from God. Well, try to. With haste, you descend from heaven with your faithful, heavenly guide, Lucifer. That's right, Lucifer, not There's no hard R in that. Lucifer can do it all. Travel through time, stop time, turn back time, all with a snap of his fingers.
Enoch, you do have the strangest pets.
Which turns out to be extremely nifty for the amount of times you fail in this game. The gameplay of Shaddai fuses action gaming and platforming. I personally was more of a fan of the platforming part rather than the fighting part. The best way to describe it is it had like a God of War feel. Enemies coming at you and you have to dodge, attack, and defend. You're constantly moving. It's difficult to communicate, but it had like a rhythmic feel. You absolutely could not keep button mashing the attack button because one, after smacking your enemies around, your weapon will turn red and does a hell of a lot less damage, which it needs to be purified in order to restore the weapon to its full potential. And two, enemies will counterattack you. Precise button pressing is a must. Also, you'll notice that there is no health bar. Good observation. And the cool thing that this game did was your lack of armor is your health. When you're armorless, you take a hit and you're almost knocked unconscious. But if you button mash while Enoch is closing his eyes, you have a chance of snapping back into action. I feel like they tried to make fighting a little bit more interesting by incorporating 3 different weapons. The Arc, your main, the Gale, which is your range, and the Veil, which hits hard but slow and has a superior defense. Even still, fighting was just repetitive and uninteresting as hell. The weapons have a rock, paper, scissors kind of deal, where one weapon is strong and weak against another. So in order to stay on top, you can steal weapons from your enemies when they're stunned. When you have a weapon, you have access to all of the weapon's moves, but you're never formally taught. You just kind of experiment. Which I found to be difficult to learn how to use all the weapons and perform certain moves. Most of the boss battles in this game were freaking difficult, like, holy shit. It is 100% common for you to get knocked out a couple of times by these guys. The Watchers do not play. Bosses go through 3 phases: green, which you can easily see their patterns, yellow, they step it up, and red, which is just brutally insane. Their patterns are easy to pick up on, but once they get faster, your heart starts racing and you make careless mistakes and it's just crazy. But that's why it's challenging. Platforming is the best part of this game, presented in 2D and 3D. It was both fun and challenging due to the crazy world design, which I'll touch up on in a second. I found the 2D side-scrolling platform to be such a treat. It was such a nice throwback and it was well done. The 3D platforming was also enjoyable. My only issue, while the world design is a plus, sometimes the world was just so trippy I couldn't see what I was jumping on or into, or rather what was okay for me to jump on or into. Oh, and let's not forget the awkwardly interesting but seemingly tacked on driving level. Some say it gave the game range of gameplay, but I say it was so goddamn random. But needless to say, I did feel pretty cool as I beat the level. So the graphics I have mixed feelings on. In terms of characters, I wasn't a fan of how they looked, especially Enoch. His hair looked weird and jeans. You couldn't give a man like a full suit of heavenly armor. Even the fallen angels, I wasn't a fan of their looks. Lucifer and one other that I was a fan of. But what's really talked about in Shaddai is its outstanding visuals and presentation of levels. I cannot recall a game with more wild and unalike environments than Shaddai. I felt I had to stop the game and really give myself a moment to soak in such an artistic level. It appeared each level was drawn and designed by a completely different artist, Each level has different overtones, meshes, and colors. I will say the later levels seem to have lost inspiration, considering the earlier levels look like they were developed by people on acid. Now, again, some of the levels were so artistic, I didn't know where I could or couldn't jump to. I kinda had to find out, well, trial and error. Lastly, the music. It was alright. I didn't particularly enjoy the soundtrack very much. It was boring, it was dull, and honestly sounded non-existent. Listening to the soundtrack is an absolute chore. If I had to throw out my favorite track, it'd probably be one of the boss battles. Whew, okay, El Shaddai, everybody. This game gets a 6 out of 10. Honestly, let's be real, it's just the graphics that hold this game afloat. Like, everything else is forgettable. Let's go back and remember the key points. First, we have the story, which honestly is average, about 7 out of 10. It was a simple and direct story, and I emphasize direct because the ending, it's direct. I had mixed feelings about the characters. I wanted more from them. Enoch is more or less a silent protagonist, and it's just kind of like, I wanted to see him develop, even though he does have internal struggle within the game, which is great, but like I wanted speech. Lucifer, he, again, a one-sided character. It's like, oh, you know, he's really cool guy talking on his cell phone. The archangels, sure, one of them had like motherly connections to humans. One was about love, one was about evolution of humans, but I wanted more. The gameplay is a 5 out of 10. It's just like the weakest link. It's really the fighting that just, it drags out. Everything about the fighting was awful. I just never got the rhythm of precision button pressing. I never got the rhythm, I didn't. And that's what made fighting so difficult for me. So maybe you guys are better than me at that, and if you are, you'll have a field day with it. Crappy instructions. Really delay your attack to deflect the enemy's guard. What? This entire game, I haven't deflected one enemy. Not once. Because I had no idea how to do it. And that was frustrating. When an enemy's just guarding, you're literally waiting there. Twiddling your fucking thumbs like, okay, you're gonna attack me so I can dodge it and then attack you back. Weapons. It was cool having 3 different weapons. I liked it. The rock, paper, scissors thing. Okay, cool. Wasn't a fan of the Gale too much, but let me tell you, the Veil, oh my god, those gloves, like, slow as hell, but when I punched you, I knocked your ass out. Problem with the weapons is once you got them, it was cool you had access to all of their abilities, but you literally had to learn them by yourself. Fighting was so repetitive because you had the same enemies, you know, different weapons, which is fine. Boss battles, though, they were challenging and in the correct way. Like, boss battles were hard and, like, I played it on normal mode. When you beat the game, you have access to, like, hard and extremely hard. Normal was difficult. I can't even imagine what, like, very hard was like. The respawning system was clever and cool. Like, quick, hit buttons, bring them back, bring them back. Platforming is the best part of the gameplay. Especially the 2D. I really like the 2D. That was awesome. Everything. I have no insult about platforming, other than the levels were a little too artistic. Artistic was the word I was looking for. The graphics. The graphics are 8 out of 10 because that's what this game's all about. Really, the levels. Not even like the characters. The characters were meh. They were okay. They were there. The levels of this game were excellently designed. Huge fan. What was a bummer was the later levels took a hit. I don't know why. You'd think it'd be the opposite. The early levels are just and then the later levels get like freaking crazy. No, actually, flip it. The music. I'm sorry, but the music was 2 out of 10. It was Snoresville. 100% Snoresville. It was just dull. Dull AF. I do hope you give this game a try. I know I harped on it a lot. I gave it a really low score, but at least, like, I don't even expect you guys to finish it. Just, like, play through it and just experience the levels. You know, the first levels. They're really crazy. Really worth experiencing. After you get past, like, the first 3 or 4 levels, then it's just kind of like, meh. Okay, question time. So I have a few questions for you guys this time. One, what is the trippiest game you've ever played? In terms of, like, levels. Like, what just kind of was like, whoa, what is going on? With me, it's either Nights into Dreams or this game, because Nights had some pretty, like, woo levels, but I really enjoyed them. Secondly, I'm making modifications to my review style, and one of them is the whole kind of wrap-up, the summary, the let me run you through everything. You know, do you guys care for that part or do you guys not? Because I don't particularly care for it, but my friend suggested I do it, so I did it. But really, I'm just repeating the same thing I said in the review. So if you guys like it, I'll keep it. If not, I'm going to remove it because it just adds an extra 2-3 minutes to the review that doesn't need to be there. 3, vloggy, updatey, talky things. Just pretty much telling you what I'm doing with the channel, where I plan on going, possibly new videos that are coming out, possibly updates on my streaming equipment that's almost here. I'm going to stream so much Splatoon for you guys. Yeah, so check all that out. Also, in the description below, there will be a link to my Twitch channel that I've set up and my Let's Play channel that's currently under construction, but yeah. So vlog stuff will pretty much entail stuff like I just said. And this isn't a vlog. And that is it. Remember to comment below, answer all those questions for me, let me know what I should do, what I shouldn't do. And most importantly, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Speaking of which, we broke 400 subscribers. Thank you guys so much for sharing, liking, commenting. You guys are like, my babies. Okay, bye.